Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody in social media land, TV land. This is Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. I'm Ray Amanat here in sunny Port Richey, and from an undisclosed safe house somewhere in North Texas, we have Mr. Steve Reed. And next to me is our featured guest for today, Mr. Emil Hector with Resilient Boxing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Emil, great to have you. I got a personal question for you, Emil. How are you putting up with Ray?
I'm loving it.
Okay,
Loving
we'll talk later. So anyway, because I know you don't want all of the really good stuff to come out. So we'll talk later. So
He's known me longer than you've known me, so I don't know about that.
Oh, excellent. So Ray, what's on the docket for today?
So today, instead of talking about all the gloom and doom that we've been talking about with what's going on with our country, with First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, abortion, just anything and everything that is stirring people up, we're going to talk about something positive for a change. And my good friend is Emil Hector, flew out from St. Louis, my hometown, to Florida to do a lot of videos with me and help me promote Heroes in Action, on top of see what type of a market there might be out here in Florida for his program, which is Resilient Boxing.
Very cool. All right, so do I get a suspicion that you're trying to convince Emil that he needs to leave St. Louis and head southeast?
I don't know. Am I?
Yeah, a little bit. I can sense it. Yeah.
Oh, Emil, I don't know if you can handle, 80-degree weather year round. So I know
Yeah,
you
love that.
love the snow and the cold weather and so forth that you get up in Missouri, but
Yeah, it's super bipolar up there.
yeah, I will pass on that myself. That's why I live in Texas. So
You don't want hail every day, or hail one day, rainbows the next day, snow one day, rainbows the next day.
No,
some-
I'd rather just have rain and sun, which is what I have here in Florida.
There you go.
yeah,
That's all you
well,
need.
sometimes for us here in North Texas, it's rain, sun, tornadoes, hail, all in the same day. So
Wow.
we don't spread it out over multiple days. So we are in Tornado Alley. So it's a very normal occurrence. So, all right. So, Emil, question for you. What does it mean to be resilient to you? What does that mean?
For me, it means, I guess, being able to recover quickly from getting knocked down. So whether you're getting knocked down in life, physically, mentally, any challenge that you face, you got to learn how to overcome that. And we did not get to be where we are today without facing some type of challenge that knocked us down. So for me, it just means, when I get knocked down, how am I going to find my way? Okay.
He's on you.
Oh, it's on me. Okay. Sorry. I'm new to this, guys. Sorry. So for me, it just means being able to, what steps do I take to come back and stand up more resilient? Being able to recover quickly, getting knocked down and coming back more resilient every time, and learning to get comfortable with facing that challenge so I can learn more about myself and grow as a person.
All right, so yeah,
Go ahead.
hang on one, Ray. Let me ask you one real quick question. When you just chill, buddy. Okay, so when you're talking about getting knocked down, I have heard it said that the only time that you are a failure is when you get knocked down repeatedly but don't get back up. So are you saying that to stay resilient, you got to keep getting back up?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, Ray. Now to you, sir.
So, what is the story behind how you got Resilient Boxing started? And, what is how did you come up with this concept?
It's my life story. So I was born here. I lived here
You were born in St. Louis.
Born in St. Louis. You're right. Sorry. I feel like I'm at home. I was born in St. Louis. Traveled from St. Louis to Georgia to Florida in under 3 years. And then we left to Palestine to visit my mom's family. over there, and we were there till I was about 8. So I didn't really learn much English. Learned a lot of Arabic out there, and my dad was like very abusive to my family, physically, verbally. So I grew up around a lot of abuse, a lot of hardship. Being out there. My mom ended up getting a divorce. We flew back to America, and I grew up in a rural area in southern Missouri where I was picked on constantly for being Middle Eastern in my high school years and my childhood years, and that's kind of all I knew was getting picked on, getting called names, and being so young and timid and I didn't learn English till I was probably about 9 or 10. So I didn't have the security or the confidence to speak to people or speak up or stand up for myself because I felt like I didn't know how to talk to people, not knowing that much English. But as time went on, I learned more and more, obviously. But it was just nonstop bullying. Both of my dads, so my mom remarried to Tim Hector, who was actually a fighter as well. And he thought it'd be cool to get me into boxing. And he taught me how to box. I fell in love with it. And every time I boxed them, I'd want more and more and more and more. And these kids would keep picking on me nonstop. So I ended up setting up these fight tournaments like outside of school grounds, and I'd beat the crap out of all these kids that would pick on me, and that made me feel good. Well, my dad pulled up one and called me, and he was pissed because he taught me how to box, and I was using it the wrong way. So he grounded me from boxing. I stopped beating kids up, and he sent me down to South Broadway Athletic Club 6 months later, and I fell in love with it. The gym itself was like an old gym from like the 1900s. It's still there. The old masonry brick building in there. The smell of sweat. The old school boxing ring that's got like blood on the walls, like spit. It's that atmosphere you get. That's just it's tough to be in there, and that felt so good. And I would go there. I'd work out there Monday through Friday. I'd be one of the first ones there. I'd show up early on purpose because I just wanted to show my coach that I was that dedicated. And I fell in love with it. And my coach, so let's take a step back. In this story, you'll learn that, there's people of impact that have impacted my life and changed it. And at the end of it all comes together. And there's a reason with each person and why they were there in each part of my life to build resilient boxing. So the first person was obviously my dad, who taught me how to box and mentored me. He taught me the basics, right? The next person is my coach, Jimmy Halfman. He was the police chief for St. Louis, and he worked all day, and he would show up to the gym, and he would train us kids that were some kids were in gang violence. Some kids were dealing with getting bullied, or every kid had their own story, right? Mm-hmm. And for him, he was doing it out of his own time. He didn't have to do that, but he did it and didn't charge us anything. So he taught me the basics of boxing and taught me the mental game behind it. So sparring, we would go in there, we'd warm up, and sparring would be 2v1, like 2 people versus me, which was crazy. And I boxed for a long time. Then I lost my coach. A couple months went by, lost my other coach. So I drifted away from it. I was going to college at the time. That didn't work out. And then I started working at Title Boxing Club as a trainer. So I got to express who I am as a person with something I'm very passionate about in a class full of 20 to 50 people. The more I did it, the more outgoing and extrovert I became. And the more I learned how to talk to people without being shy or nervous, because there was something that I believed in, and I knew it could change their world the way it changed the way it's changing my world currently. So, 300-400 classes later, Ray Amanat shows up. He's another character of impact. And Ray taught me the definition of boxing, how to actually box. Because if you go to any of the city gyms, you have to show them that you're invested before they invest in you. And they're all great gyms. But the first couple of weeks, you're getting your butt kicked. Like, there's no way out of it. And They don't take the time to, hey, this is how you throw a jab. Keep your elbows in. Here's how you throw across. Here's some movement. It's just, hey, you're in and out until they know you're there for good. With Ray, he actually took his time with me to show me, how to throw each punch, correctly, why you throw each punch, the drills that you can use, the drills that make skills, as he would say, make them miss, make them pay, etc. So thanks to him, I was able to actually learn every little part of boxing and apply it to my classes. So now I'm teaching more classes and I'm telling people the why behind their throwing punches. So now, as a person or a consumer taking a boxing class, one of the most valuable things is doing it correctly. And in life, you want to do everything correctly. You want to make sure the job's done right, no matter what you're doing, whether you're running a business, whether you're selling somebody a product you believe in, whatever it is, it has to be done right. Well, for me, it's boxing, right? So time flew by. Title Boxing Club didn't work out. Then I started working at State Farm. I didn't like working for somebody. I wanted to drift away and run my own business. But the person of impact there was my boss, who was a friend of mine, who taught me how to be persistent and sell on value, not just price, right? So I fell in love with that. Open up a fire safety business with a friend of mine. And now I learned how to sell on value, be persistent, and get in front of people and talk to them and sell them face to face. So now I'm working with businesses. 5 years later, here I am. This is our 15-year business. But now this year, everything kind of comes back together where I've got Resilient Boxing. My final character of impact is Terry Edwards. He runs a 3D basketball gym where he's using basketball to help change kids' lives, because he grew up playing basketball and he fell in love with it, and he's been doing it for so long. He's provided the space in there for Resilient Boxing. So now, why Resilient Boxing? Because the stories that the hardships and challenges I've been through, I've learned from, and boxing is what gave me the strength to get in front of that challenge and learn from it. People these days they're weak. They want things easy, and things are never going to be easy. You have to put yourself in the fire to learn. You got to get comfortable going out of your comfort zone. And I crave that every day, because I know it'll make me stronger, to a point where, people don't have superpowers, but for me, being immune to like a challenge that's huge, like that just sounds amazing. So the more challenges I face, the better and better I get, whether it's mental, physical, whatever it is. So Terry is an amazing guy. He's provided me a space up there, and me and him have the same vision, is to help these kids that we're training up there, whether it's with boxing or basketball, help change their lives and discipline them correctly, like boxing did for me. So
Emil, let me stop there for just a second, and I've got a couple of questions for you that it feels like you're getting ready to segue into something else. But first, well, this is more of a statement than it is a question.
You're good.
I actually went out for boxing when I was in high school and college, and my problem was I kept breaking my fingers or my hands, and it had nothing to do with the gloves. It's because the referee kept stamping on my hands.
You kept stamping on your hands?
Yeah, he kept stepping on my hands because I was always on the mat. Anyway, that's a joke. That's a joke, Emil.
It was always knocked out.
I kept getting knocked out, and they kept stepping on my hand. I'm sorry. No, actually, I've got a comment or a statement, and then I want you to tell me about your vision with Resilient Boxing. But what you are doing is a classic illustration or example of what sales is all about. And a lot of people don't realize, I've heard a lot of people over the years, I don't like sales, I hate selling, and so forth and so on, and I don't want to be sold to. Well, the definition of sales is when you transfer your belief to somebody else. That's all sales is.
And it doesn't have to be called a sale. It's
Well,
me helping.
exactly. But what you are doing, what I am sensing from you is your passion for not only the sport, but teaching the sport, but going a step farther, your passion for helping younger people get past the bullying issues, learning the craft, the art of boxing,
Yep.
etc. So you are a great salesman. There's no question there. And so, but here's my real question. What do you see as your vision for resilient boxing?
So back to when I was working at Title Boxing Club. So another person of impact, which I haven't mentioned yet, her name's Katie Eichmeyer, and this is kind of where resilient boxing actually began, I would say. With her, so she had stage fright, and she started becoming a singer at the age of 11, and she was always afraid and shy to sing in front of people. Okay, well, come start training with me. So I started training her left and right. As time went on, she became stronger mentally and physically. And she started really picking it up to where she fell in love with it just like I did as a kid. So we would train 2-3 times a week, Sunday mornings, Monday, Wednesdays, whatever, over and over and over. I started fighting again, and I said, hey, I'll take this fight on the condition that she gets to sing in the ring. Of people, and she got a huge boost of confidence from that, right? So fast forward to last year, because boxing gave her the strength to sing in front of people, she is now she released her first 2 records on Pandora and Apple Music last year to the world, which is beautiful, and she sounds amazing. If you guys want to hear her, Pieces by Katie Klein, and she's about to release another 5 next month or so with Apple Music and Pandora, which is huge. So for me, that felt so good to change her world the way, Ray changed my world. He taught me how to box. Jimmy changed my world. He taught me the mentality behind the game of boxing, and that I'd get knocked down so much and it was okay to stand back up and not be afraid to get in front of people. My dad taught me the basics and sent me out there. Every person has something to do with this, just like, and I want to be that person that has something to do with everybody's lives when I'm training them, if that makes sense. I want to be able to impact them the way I was impacted, because my coach Jimmy is no longer around, and I don't know how much longer my other heroes are going to be around.
So the vision behind resilient boxing, do you want it to be something that stays local in St. Louis, or are we going to grow this to something bigger?
Yeah. So it started out with training kids, right? So training Katie. And then I ventured out and I got a space that I rent from Terry up at 3D. And now all these kids come through the door. Some are heavier set kids where they've lost a lot of weight over time. Some are small and they're very timid. They don't have the confidence to get in front of challenges. Some need help with their basketball skills. We're using boxing also cross-train different sports. Basketball is a great example. But every kid that walks through the door has their own story, and it's my job to help tailor boxing to that story and see how it can help change their lives, okay? So I've changed Katie's life. I've changed a couple other kids' lives. Well, I keep changing all these lives here, and I put a process in place that I know that works, and it's not just sales. It's me helping change your life. And I learn and learn and learn and move forward. Well, what happens in 5 years when I've got an army of kids here? Well, the vision is to actually franchise it and change the whole world and help other areas in the U.S., maybe outside the U.S., I don't know, but help other areas that are in need and show them my vision and how I got from here all the way to here and change the world. So that's the vision behind it.
You can start with Florida.
Okay, you got
it. So, all right. So, Emil, before we continue on, a couple of things. Number one, Ray, I want you to share how the two of you integrate together. But actually, before we do that, Ray, why don't you share a little bit about Heroes in Action? Let's take just a minute or so for a quick commercial and talk about Heroes in Action and the focus that you guys have in your work and how you are helping people become heroes themselves.
Sure. So I started Heroes in Action as a nonprofit organization with a focus on anti-bullying and violence prevention. I'm the author of all the books that you guys see on the screen. Bully, Victim, or Hero is pretty much my autobiography, and then all of the adventures of Mushy the Martian books, I wrote as a tool for parents and teachers to help kids with sensitive topics or situations. I'm a public speaker. I go all over and do presentations on how not to be a victim, and we do hands on seminars. Because we're a nonprofit, all of our programs are free for people to use. And the main focus is to help overcome fears. You know, a parent's biggest fear is something bad happening to their child. So, by us doing programs for kids, like anti-bully programs, it gives them the tools to be critical thinkers and problem solvers. We have programs that address domestic abuse or violence at the home and workplace violence as well. So, any area that you can think of that can utilize our services, we offer training and it's all for free. We have a character, Mushy the Martian, that goes with us to kind of make a connection with the kids so that it takes the message a little bit further when they hear about the character and then they actually get to meet the character. It kind of makes that training that we gave them a little bit more memorable. All in all, you know, if you're interested in getting a hold of us, you can call us. It's my cell. Email me at ray@heroesinaction.org, or go to our YouTube page for free video tutorials on personal safety. You can get our books through all the typical book outlets, Amazon or Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and that helps support our cause of providing our services for free. Tying that into what Emil does, Emil was bullied because of him being from Palestine and the language barrier and things like that. And he became resilient or overcame all those obstacles through his training with boxing. And, Emil pretty much knows what my message is and why I do what I do. And I guess he kind of following up or taking after me.
Yeah.
He's my mini me.
Yep. That's funny. That's a funny way to put it.
So, Emil, what's your primary message?
I would say I have so many messages for people. The biggest message is, think about something you want and think about, measure how bad you want it. Think about how bad you want it. And what can you do to get closer to what you want or your goal? Is the decision I'm making right now getting me closer to that goal, or is it getting me further away from that goal? What can I do to learn more and more about the direction I'm headed? The biggest thing I'd say is if there's a challenge and you're afraid, get in front of it. So the next time that challenge comes up, you're not as afraid, you're more ready. So,
Emil, you've used the word decision a couple of times, and I frequently tell the story about 5 bullfrogs, and you're welcome to steal this if you wanted to steal it. But there are five bullfrogs that are sitting on lily pads. 3 of the bullfrogs decide that they are going to jump off the lily pads. How many frogs are left on the lily pads?
2.
No, it's actually it's all 5. Because all they did was decide. They didn't take action. And what you're talking about is taking action, which requires grit in order to accomplish the things that you want. So if you've got dreams and goals, yeah, you have to decide that you're going to do those things, but then you got to start moving. You got to take that first foot forward. You got to go to a gym. You got to start practicing. You got to find a coach like you or Ray, and you have to start working out on a regular basis. You've got to take action. And it sounds like you really are a man of action, not just decisions, but you're taking action with the things that you're doing.
Yeah, of course.
So we got one of our viewers that just asked us a question. Do you ever have to help any one of your clients that have been bullied?
That's a good question. I help them through training. A quick story. There's a girl I train. Her name is Talia, and she got into an altercation with her neighbor, and the neighbor was physically attacking her, and Talia ended up knocking her out. Talia is 13 years old.
Wow.
So that's my answer to that.
Mm-hmm. So a big part of your training is you challenge people with the training through the exercises and the drills and everything. So it's so overwhelming, and then you get them to a point that you more or less say, look, if you can accomplish this, if you could do this, think of everything else that you can accomplish. Think of the things that you can accomplish with relationships. Think of things that you can accomplish with friendships, with schoolwork, and eventually with your business. So you're making your business where they have to be resilient to get through you. You're their challenge. And then you help them achieve other challenges in life. Is that kind of
Yep, that's exactly right.
A good way of explaining it?
Yeah. For example, like back to the cross training portion, there's a lot of basketball players that I train up at 3D basketball in the space I rent. And I go to all my kids' games to learn from them, figure out, what their struggles are. Do they struggle to dribble with their left hand? Do they struggle to move? Do they freak out when they have two opponents coming at them? Well, most of them do freak out because you got hundreds of people watching. You're young. You have basketballers coming at you. People are yelling at you. You got to be able to focus. So in boxing, when you're sparring, those of you that are watching, you might not think of it like this, but the idea is to relax and face what's in front of you. Because the second you freak out, the second your heart rate goes over 140, you said?
Yes.
140 beats is when you lose control.
Tell me more.
I learned that today from Ray, actually. In any instance, when your heart rate is over 140, you have no control whatsoever. And the idea is to keep that heart rate calm and collective, especially when you're in the ring boxing. You want to be able to relax, float across the ring, pick your shots, have the confidence to get in front of somebody without freaking out, pull the tools from your arsenal that I've trained for you to do. Now, when I'm sparring with these kids, me and the parents yell at them and I say, hey, take the shot, as in punch me in the face. Let's go. Like, you have no reason to wait. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to challenge you and help you learn and develop your skills. Okay. Well, hey, take the shot. Blah, blah, blah. Great. I got hit. Cool. Whatever. Let's transfer that to the basketball court. Imagine a kid that's been training with me for a long time and he's on the basketball court and we're yelling, take the shot. He's going to take that shot because if you're comfortable punching a guy, if you're 12 years old, 15, and you're punching someone that's 200 pounds and he's twice your size, you're going to take the shot because I've given you that confidence through boxing. I'm giving you the confidence to get in front of your opponent and not freak out, that it's going to be okay. You can get through this. So take the shot and see what happens. Because if you don't take the shot now, you never will.
That's the case of that jumping off the lily pad. You may say I am
just doing it.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't take the shot, you'll miss it every time. So you've got to continue to take the shots. And if you take a shot and you miss or it doesn't connect properly, well, guess what? You can take another shot. And you can take another shot. And then you can take another shot. And then you just keep going. And my understanding is the only reason why people lose boxing matches is because the clock runs out.
Possibly. I would say so. I mean, there's more to it.
Yeah.
But I think for boxing and in sports in general, the training is what matters most. How much of your time did you dedicate to the training? Because the training is what's hard. The games are easy.
Okay.
If you train hard enough for the next game, I have 2 basketball games coming up. I trained hard for game 1. We lost. You know what that means? I got to train harder for game 2. Still lost. Great. Game 3. Let's train as hard as I can. I want to train myself knowing mentally that I'm training harder than my other opponents. I'm not thinking about my other opponents. I'm thinking about how hard I'm training. And to me, I'm telling, hey, I know I'm training harder than that other opponent. That confidence that I have will carry over to the basketball court or the boxing ring, which I don't play basketball, but I'll get there one day. So.
Emil, there's a movie that my wife and I saw a couple of weeks ago. It's actually about 10 years old. It's called 7 Days in Utopia. And it's about a guy. He's a young golfer, professional golfer, has a disastrous game. And I mean, he has a meltdown on the golf course. And he leaves the golf course. He's heading to the next location. And along the way, he has an accident. He's somewhat rescued by this guy who takes him under his wing and says, "You spend 7 days with me here in Utopia, and I will teach you how to be a great golfer." And most of the training that he was giving had nothing to do with playing the sport of golf.
Wow.
It had to do with vision and mindset and things other. One of the first things that they did was they went out fishing, fly fishing. Now, how in the world is fly fishing? What does that have to do with golf?
That's like when people do ballet for football.
Yeah, exactly. And there was another one where they go on to the guy owned his own golf course, but they're up in a tree area, and the coach says, paint what you see, how you want that ball to go when you hit it. And the young guy says, well, I'm going to hit it and it's going to go this way and it's going to this and that. So he says, okay, now paint it. So he was visualizing what he was doing, all of the swings, how he's dodging, how he's missing the punches from the other person. So with that said, when you are teaching somebody about resilient boxing, how much time do you spend on the physical activity versus working with their minds?
I'd say it's about half and half, to be honest, because
okay,
I have all my clients grouped in a messaging system where weekly I'll post, at home drills, at home workouts, stuff they can do outside, because I want to give back as much as I can. And once a week I'll post like a motivational video, or I'll send a message out. And depending on the kid and who I'm training, I always sit them down and talk to them about, what they're going through and what can we do to make them stronger? That it's going to be okay. Like, I'm here for you. You're not a customer. You're family to me. That's how I treat them. So.
Another part that you had mentioned to me yesterday with one of your workouts was they have the physical side of their training, and when it comes to their rest, that's where you're playing motivational videos. If it's not you saying it, then it's motivational videos of other athletes during that break of rest to get them to think about it, and then they get back to the physical training.
Yeah, so the class, no one should be afraid to try anything. I really and if you are, you should try it, because you never know. So the reason I'm saying that is because the first 15 minutes of my hour-long class is learning. Great, you've never boxed before? Let's get you comfortable. Cool. I'm going to teach you how to I'm going to teach the stance, probably how to stand your ground when it comes to boxing, how to move like a boxer, and how to throw punches correctly so you don't hurt yourself. You're getting the most out of your workout, and you're actually doing it right, instead of going to a gym where they don't teach you any of that. And I'm here to teach you that. The following 15 minutes is a cardio and core warm-up. Let's get the blood flowing. Let's get you loose. Final 30 minutes is 8 3-minute rounds of bag work, 1 minute off of resilience. That minute off, we're either doing an active rest exercise or holding a plank or doing some type of core exercise. But that there's no timer. That minute off, I've got Muhammad Ali, Tyson, even Elon Musk, Kobe, legends that came from nothing or were bullied, or people did not believe in Elon Musk. They laughed at him. Look at him now. The people that have been through what it takes to be a champion, a resilient champion, actually. And I broadcast that for the minute off. That's why it's called the minute of resilience, because you listen to their stories and it's mind blowing. I want to get on that level. So it's very inspiring for me to share that with my clients.
And Emil, I'm assuming that you probably have some other videos that you could play of a world famous boxer and martial arts guy. His name is something like Ray.
I'm not. Is that
Yeah,
it?
something like
Yeah.
that. So I'm thinking you need to show some videos of
Yeah,
this
that's a good
this
idea
guy
for sure.
sitting next to you.
We're going to be
So
creating some.
Well,
so
we made 2 videos
absolutely.
so far. I'm
there
excited
you
about it.
go. There you go. So okay, so what I'm hearing is you spend more time on the mindset and other things that aren't directly related to, blocking a punch and swinging. You're spending more time on the other things than you are on the physical technique of how to bob and weave and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I spend a lot. Okay, so in my trainings, I focus a lot on technique. That's huge. And then once I feel like we got a good base of technique, it's like building a house. You build your base. Okay, the base is the basics: stance, footwork, and how to throw basic punches. Okay, add some walls. Okay, let's call that movement and footwork: how to move properly and throw punches. Okay, add a roof: how do you get power on your punches, and how do you dodge punches? Add some windows, drills, catching, weaving. Add some flooring, add some electrical, add some plumbing. It all adds up. Parrying: what drills can you do to dodge punches and hit? And then furnish the house, frame it, brick, mortar, whatever. Finalize the house with sparring. So once you're comfortable sparring, you've got a full house. Once you're comfortable sparring, you know how to box. Baby steps. You can't be rushed. It takes
So
time.
I would make it safe to say that that's pretty much what separates your programs from other boxing gyms.
Yeah, I take my time and I invest my time in you. It's not just a hi and bye. I remember you and why you're here. For me, it's really important to understand why my client's here, so I can do my best to make sure they come back more and more resilient every time they walk through those doors.
So if you had a message for the whole world, what would that message look like?
I would say to put yourself in front of the challenge that you think about. Put yourself in front of what makes you feel uncomfortable, because that's the only way to grow as a person. There's no point to pondering your thoughts around it for days and days and days, because the longer you wait, the most expensive thing in life is time, and you never get time back. So if you continue to, you get comfortable waiting a day, you're going to get comfortable waiting a month. Get comfortable waiting a month, you're going to wait a year. You wait a year, you wait a decade. You look back and you're like, wow, I should have done that 10 years ago. And now here I am. And you're that much happier because you got in front of that challenge 10 years later and you overcame it, and you completely kick yourself in the foot because I should have done that 10 years ago when I was 20. Who knows what could have came of it? Whatever that challenge is. So my message is, do not wait. Get in front of the challenge and learn and move forward.
In other words, jump off the lily pads.
Yes.
Right.
Be a frog.
Yeah.
Steve, we need to do another commercial. And it's another way of helping people if they have injuries or things that they want to heal so that they can continue being resilient in life. You want to talk about your product,
Sure.
LifeWave?
Happy to. So, Ray, what you're leading to is the company LifeWave, and LifeWave has been around for almost 20 years now, and they started out by introducing some patches. These are light therapy patches that you wear on your bodies. No pills, no drugs, no injections,
Interesting.
no drinks, nothing of that sort. And you wear them for different reasons. And they started by developing patches for the US Navy to give some of these sailors more energy,
I've
because
heard
they were
about these.
sequestered on the ships and so forth, submarines, whatever the case. So they had remarkable results, and then all of a sudden the US Olympic teams got wind of it, and then professional athletes and so forth, and people are getting more energy, physical stamina, strength, etc., all the way around. Well, then as time went on, the founder of the company, the chief inventor, started doing some research on copper peptides, and he discovered that our bodies emit heat, and it's infrared heat. And when that heat is reflected back into our body, it stimulates a copper peptide that tells our bodies to start activating our stem cells. So here are just a few of the different benefits of the patches. And this is
Wow.
specifically for the X39 patch. Rapid pain relief, reduced inflammation, supports wound healing. It gives you more energy, more vitality, more mental clarity, enhanced sports performance, faster recovery from exercise, and improved skin appearance. Now, the only thing I'm going to say to that, and Ray, I don't want you to take this personally. If anyway, I was going to say something really ugly, right? But I'm not going to. So I'm going to keep going with the slide so I don't get myself in more trouble. Here are some examples, some illustrations. This guy was in a skiing accident, and day 1 he's pretty messed up. Day 5, because he was using these X39 patches, you can barely tell that he's got issues. Here's somebody almost had his hand severed,
So
and
real quick,
after 63 days, you can barely see that he had any problems. And you can see in that center picture, the patch is at the base of his hand, right there at the top of his wrist. Here's one. She had bunion surgery. In a month, you can barely tell that she had any kind of surgery. Here's a young fella. He's 12 or 13 years old, and he had his fingertips severed. Mom and dad picked up the fingertip, took him to the hospital, insisted that they sew the fingertip back on, and in 2 months, he had full use of that finger back. It's just absolutely amazing. Here's one, talking about facial benefits. Here's a woman that in 19 weeks, you can see how much younger she looks as a result of just using these X39 patches. And Emil, here's the patch, okay? It's wafer thin. You just peel off the backing, you stick it on your body, and there's some prescribed or recommended places, and it gives you all of those different benefits. And we've got a lot of other benefits.
Area you want to put that on, and you put that on your back. Is it for 8 hours? How does that work?
You put it on for 12 hours, and the 2 recommended spots, because they're in the areas of acupressure meridian points. One of them is at the base of your neck, right at the top of your spine, and the other one is on your belly, about 2 inches below your navel. And you wear it for 12 hours, throw it away, put another one on, 12 hours. We have another patch also that actually enhances even more in your sports performance. Better stamina, more reps of whatever, whether it's sit-ups, push-ups, weights, whatever the case is, and much more rapid recovery from your exercise. It also helps build muscle mass and bone mass. So just a few of the different benefits. So anyway, so that is my program. I am very excited to be part of the organization LifeWave. Here's my contact information. Would love to visit with anybody about the products and how it can enhance your life.
I think Emil wants to set up a one-to-one with you.
I'd love to try it.
No, we can do that. Well, it'll still be a 2-on-1. So Ray, you and I can team up with this young buck, and we'll get him straight. So anyway, so here's my contact information at the bottom. So Emil, let me ask you, what is your why? Why are you doing the things that you are doing?
I'm doing them because, there's a lot of negativity in the world and a lot of darkness. And every year I feel like the world gets darker. Like, people are afraid of the unknown. And growing up, I didn't really have a father figure because my mom remarried, and I was just this shy introvert kid that got bullied. Like, it was hell, man. Just nonstop, every day, same thing over, getting knocked down physically and mentally. And I could sometimes, growing up, I never understood why this old man, Jimmy, he'd work all day. He also was an iron worker, and he would go out of his way to be there for me. And he saved my life. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. So
that's powerful.
I owe him. He's not here anymore, but I'm sure he's listening. I owe him the world. So
That is a powerful statement.
I think with me, with that mindset of me owing the world to him, I think I can. It's a way I do it through resilient boxing and these all these kids. So yeah.
What a noble purpose that you have. So it's not your why is so much bigger than yourself, and that's what I appreciate about you so much. You've got an inspiring story. You're a great encourager. I'm going to guess when you start working with some of these young kids, whether it's a 10, 12, 14-year old or maybe older, I'm going to guess that you probably see more whatever, power, technique, positivity, etc. You probably see more in them than what they see in themselves.
Oh yeah, it's unreal. Usually after you start seeing it after probably 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, it's one of the kids. He was like 210 last year in September, and he's now like under 200, and he's now like more aggressive on the basketball court. He's taking the shots like we talked about, and his mom is up and down about me, and like she's like, "You've changed my son's life," and it's just, yeah.
If you want to see a lot of the progress of the kids that Emil has worked with, Emil has an Instagram page. What's that page?
Just type in resilient boxing, just like it's spelled below with the email.
On
Resilient
Instagram,
boxing.
and you can look at videos of a lot of the beginnings and how far each one of the kids that he's worked with has progressed to the level that they're at now. And I'm telling you, it's a joy to watch their growth, but also Emil's growth as a coach or a trainer, because I'm seeing the drills and I'm like, wait a second, that looks familiar.
Yeah.
But he's taken my drills to a whole nother level. I'm real proud of everything that he's done with both of his businesses, both the Brazilian boxing and your fire extinguisher business. So I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Wait a second. You've got a fire extinguisher business?
Yeah, I talked about it earlier.
It's
called Reliable Fire Protection. This is our 5th year in business.
Oh, that's cool. Good for you.
Yep,
Good for you. Okay, so Emil,
he's on fire.
Yeah, there's no question. Well, don't put him out. So anyway, what I am sensing here, you were mimicking or mirroring a lot of the things that I talk with my clients about, and I do a lot of executive coaching, and everything I do is about mindset and your habits and doing good habits versus bad habits. And I had a client several years ago that, as I'm working with her, there were times that I didn't think she was really getting what I was saying. Now, she was an executive with one of the big companies up in Detroit, and we just kept working through these things over and over and over again. And then one day I heard a story about how she was teaching somebody else the things that I had been teaching her.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I started getting a little bit, my head was swelling and I got puffed up and so forth. And I say that because legacy happens when the student becomes the teacher. And right now, I'm looking at legacy happening. Ray, you were the teacher. And Emil, you were the student, and now you are becoming the teacher or have become a teacher. But I'm going to guess you're continuously learning new techniques, new mindset things, new methodologies, so that you can continue to help work with your clients, however young or old they are. So you're continuing to leave that legacy with them, whether it's in boxing or basketball or basket weaving, doesn't make any difference. What you're talking about is leaving a positive mark on people's lives. So I commend. Thank you.
You know how to basket weave?
No.
Whatever, Ray. Yeah, when I see you in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna have to slap you around, get you in line.
Can't wait.
I'll get my cane out after you. So anyway, so Ray, what do you have to wrap us up?
Well, those of you that are watching, if you would like to, as Steve always says, please make comments, like, and share all of our materials. If you want to learn more about Emil, you want to talk about what you've got going on with these group classes that you're offering?
Yeah, so I'm offering everybody their first class free. If you want to scan that QR code, it'll pull the calendar up. The classes for this month are obviously all booked. So we got plenty of classes opening for next month. Like I was saying, the first 15 minutes is just, learning how to box. The following 15 minutes is a cardio core warm up. And the last 30 is 8 minutes on the 3-minute rounds on the bag. And then between we do a minute of resilience where I have Kobe or Muhammad Ali and all these legends talking while you're working out, which is, people listen to music when they work out. I don't listen to music. I listen to, Elon Musk, Mayweather, all these stories, because people love to hear stories, especially because it just opens up your mind, and you're just that wow factor. And that inspires me when I'm working out. That keeps me going. I barely ever listen to music when I work out. So I'm bringing that to the table at Resilient Boxing. What else is really neat about Resilient Boxing, in about 2 weeks when all my system comes in, you're going to be able to, every time you punch that bag, it's actually going to record your power on the TV live. So let's say your bag, and then every time you punch that bag, it gives you a score of 0 to 100 per punch, per round, and at the end. So you get a total score at the end of class and a score per round and the number of punches thrown. So for me, it's about delivering this experience to people and changing their lives through a 1-hour class. So, and you can book that. Your first class is free. You can book it through that app link on the flyer shown.
So Emil, does this sound at all familiar? Da 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 da. So anyway, so all right, Emil, I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to your story. You got a great story of resilience, of getting up off the mat and continuing on, no matter what the mat looks like, whether it's in a boxing ring or on a street corner or in a classroom or whatever the case is. It sounds like you've been knocked down, but you keep getting up. So you're kind of like a weeble that wobbles. Yeah, you may fall down, but you get back up as often as you possibly can.
Yep.
So that is cool. So, hey, Ray, tell us real quick, don't you have something going on this week there in your neck of the woods?
We do. We're going to be at Comic-Con at the Tampa Bay Convention Center, where we've got a booth. And it's going to be showcasing Mushy the Martian.
Get out of here.
Emil is going to be in a costume. I don't want to give too much away, but he's going to be helping us out at the convention, and we're going to try to get as many people interested and involved with Heroes in Action as we can, and get kids to buy books and superhero tapes and t-shirts and things like that. So no, we're going to have a good time this week.
So this doesn't, I'm going back through your slides again, but this wouldn't, anyway, I don't want to give anything away. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So, so that is cool. So what days are you going to be there, and what are the hours for the event?
So Comic-Con is going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, I believe it starts at around 9 o'clock, 9:30.
Okay.
Or visitors can come in around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And that the show goes for the exhibitors. We go till 7 o'clock.
Okay.
But the show actually goes, I think, till 10 o'clock each day. And Sunday, I think they end at 5. So we're going to have a pretty busy week. Promoting and selling, yeah.
All right, so what else can people do when they're at Comic-Con? What else are they going to see?
They're going to have a lot of celebrities from some of their favorite TV shows that are science fiction based. A lot of the movies that you see that are superhero based. A lot of people that come to Comic-Con usually dress up in character or dress up as the favorite character that they want. I think somebody might come as Batman. I'm not sure, but there's going to be a lot of people. Some of the celebrities like Murr from
Practical Jokers.
Impractical Jokers is going to be there. What's his name from Star Trek? Help me out.
Dorf?
No.
I'm kidding.
Star Trek.
Yeah,
Sure.
which one? They got about 1,300.
The original one. I can't think of it. William Shatner is going to be there.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And then they'll have people from The Walking Dead, people from a lot of the TV shows that you guys watch. So it's going to
be. So Ray, well, we just lost your connection there for a second. I don't know if you're going to have anybody there that's talking about UFOs, but that may be another direction also for some of the things that are going on. So Ray, I'm thinking that. Oh, you're back. You're back. You froze. So I was just thinking if you're going to be there, you're going to be there with Heroes in Action, sharing some of the different things that you've got going on, and I'm excited for you guys. I wish I was going to be there. But you know what you ought to do, Ray, is have your laptop set up and play an episode of this really cool, outstanding podcast called Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. And I understand there was an episode where we were talking about UFOs. So
absolutely.
You ought to have that playing in the background as well.
Yep, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
So all different kinds of heroes are going to be there in costume. So is my superhero going to be there in costume?
And who would that be?
Well, Ray Amanat. Who else could it possibly be?
Of course, I'm always in costume. Everywhere I go, I'm in costume.
And of course, your sidekick Debbie is going to be there, and I know you guys are going to have an absolute blast. And my hope is that you get a lot of referral business, and you start booking your seminars to maximum capacity, and you have to travel all over the country, all over the world, and sharing your message of how to become a hero instead of a victim. So
that's the goal.
All right. Emil, you have anything you want to share to wrap up?
I just wanted to thank everyone for listening and have this opportunity. I hope people learn to get in front of challenges and not always stay down, always stand up and come back more resilient and learn and always move forward. So
very cool. So
no better way to end the show with that.
You get knocked down, get back up.
That's right.
So, guys, it has been a blast. I have really enjoyed this. Emil, you got a great story. Thank you for coming online with us today and sharing your story with us. So I wish you much success in everything that you are endeavoring, and keep changing people's lives. You're leaving a great legacy with the things that you're doing. Ray, get us out of here.
All right. Take care. Signing out. We'll see you guys. Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve next week.
See you guys.
Bye. It's no